Your future daughter needs you. Yes, she needs you right now. The work that you do now is directly going to impact your future generations, especially your daughter, who is going to look up to you and directly learn from how you are showing up. She is going to see you as the example of how she should be as a woman. And yes, this can feel quite impactful. This can feel very emotionally charged because actually it is. This is really important and it is a thought that I have been sitting with for quite a while now. So the things that I choose to do and the things that I choose to work through doesn't only impact me, but it impacts my future generations and also generations before me too that were not able to have the same decisions and do the same things that I can do if I choose to do them. And the context that I'm specifically speaking about here is fears and working through our fears and actually being authentic, putting ourselves first and doing what we want. Because as women, most of us, if we go through the normal societal conditioning, will have at some point felt like our worth was tied to how we can please others, how good we are at accommodating others. And in this process, we lose ourselves and we lose the connection to our own desires and what it is that we want. And I have observed through many women that I know and many women that I see online and in the media that it is often the women that get the short straw, especially when it comes to relationships and, let's say, roles in the family. So many women are still tolerating disrespect, disrespect, disrespect again and again and again, suppressing our own needs, our own wants, because we are trying to please other people. We are trying to earn someone else's love. We are trying to stay in relationships that aren't even for us anyway, that aren't even for our highest good. And why is it that we are still doing this when we actually don't have to anymore? Why is it that the same fears and the same cycles and the same energy is being held by us as women, which is causing us to continue to make the wrong decisions, decisions that aren't for our highest good, and ultimately allow these cycles that don't allow us to be in our divine feminine, that don't allow us to be happy ultimately, to continue and be passed down. It can end with you. Putting yourself last can end with you. But what you do now is going to determine whether that is carried through. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna have kids in the future. It's not something that I have decided yet, but it still really helps me to hold the vision that I'm not only doing this for myself, I am doing this for my future daughters too. If you have decided that you don't want kids, we all are a parent in a way already right now because we all carry an inner child, and our inner child really needs us. Our inner child really wants us to be able to give ourselves the things that maybe we feel we are lacking. If you have lacked in confidence, if you don't feel good enough, if you haven't always felt loved or appreciated, your inner child now needs you to give them all of those things. And that requires you to become the most authentic version of yourself. That requires you to lead with your heart and allow your soul to really be channeled through here in the truth, the authenticity of who you are. And to do that, you have to break down your fears. To do that, you have to move away from your fears, because your fears are going to prevent you from being able to show up in the way that you're meant to. Your fears are going to prevent you from being able to really embody this confident divine feminine. The reason why so many of us are living through fears is because we have certain programs as women that keep us small, that keep our energy diminished, that keep us in these frameworks that aren't for our highest good. So to start with, there is a big push around women and relationships. It is pushed onto us that we will be happy when we are in a relationship. We feel that a relationship will fix us, will save us. You know, we run away from things and get into a relationship, and actually the relationship was just as bad as the dynamic of the relationships we grew up in, or were used to observe. Even though we might consciously say, well, this is what I want in a relationship, subconsciously, energetically, our nervous system continues to pick the same harmful relationships again and again and again. Why? It shows that there is something energetically subconscious that is going on that we have to get to the bottom to be able to make smarter decisions. And again, it all comes back to being authentic and actually connecting with who you really are. These fears, these distortions that are put on us as a society restrict and cap us from being able to be our authentic self. So I know that my worth is not dependent on a relationship. I do not get my love and sense of self and validation from a male. No. You might be asking, well, why does that even matter? It's just a bit of fun. It does matter. And I'll tell you why it matters. Because when you are relying on an external source to make you feel whole, loved, valid, you are constantly molding yourself to fit the standard of something else in the external world. And at that point, you fall vulnerable to people pleasing, suppressing your own needs, not being authentic, and not using your voice to speak up if something harms you because you feel that you need this person to stay, or you need this thing to continue feeding you with validation and this false sense of love, because if it goes, then you're going to lose this feeling. Which is why on my channel, I have always come back to the idea of feeling that validation, that love, and that wholeness from within, because that's what allows us to stay strong in our authenticity and in who we actually are. This is what makes me whole and complete. And it doesn't matter what you try and say, I'm not changing for you, and you, because it doesn't change me. And I think if a daughter was watching me, that is exactly the message that I would want her to know and to hear. Being her authentic self, and by using her voice and being true to her, that is where she's going to get that feeling of love, wholeness, and fulfillment from. And this is how the cycles begin to break down, and the new generations that are going to come after us are going to feel so much more connected to who they actually are. Sometimes this can feel like anti-men. It's not at all, because if women actually become more authentic and allow their truths to shine, the world is going to become such a better place for everybody to live here. And also, I don't want my daughter to think that taking disrespect is normal. That would break my heart if she thinks that. But a lot of us have been taught that, which is why it's so important that we find confidence in our voice. You know, we reclaim our power and who we are, so that we can stand up for ourselves and we can use our voice to express our needs, because that's exactly how we should be. We shouldn't have to take disrespect, have to make excuses for other people, and just accept it because that's who they are, or that's how they behave. You know, this facilitating of bad behavior in an expense of our feelings doesn't have to continue. Another thing is, let's say you always have a desire, a goal, something in your heart that feels like you want to do, but you are scared to do it. Other people are going to reject you or judge you, and you constantly are living a life that isn't truly yours because of this fear of judgment. Now, what type of message is that giving off? That again is giving off the message that we don't do what we want to do because we are scared and fearful about the external opinion. And this leads us to unfulfillment and a lack of connection with our authentic self. So do you see, by doing what you want to do and putting yourself first, you are always aligning back with authenticity. The most important things, because authenticity is love. And love is the opposite of fear. I think it's so important that we have this reminder that it's not just for ourselves when we work through our fears and do the things that are uncomfortable and own who we are. It's not just for ourselves. It is for our inner child and our future daughters too, who are going to be watching us as the example. Take inspiration from us, actively learn from how we are showing up our behavior, and ultimately adopt our nervous system too. It is the work that you do now that's going to affect your future generations, which is why I say your future daughter is waiting for you now. You know, we can't just change overnight. It is an ongoing process, and the sooner you start to reclaim your power, the better it will be. And I know sometimes when we're in a bit of a rut, or maybe our energy is off, or we're not in the best space, it can sometimes be difficult for people to show up for themselves when you're not feeling good about yourself. And sometimes it's easier for us to show up for other people, unfortunately, more than it is for ourselves. So when you can reframe it and see it as doing it for your future daughter, for your inner child, sometimes it can be that extra step of motivation and push that we need to do the inner work and to, you know, clear our energy, connect with who we really are, so we can be an embodiment of this divine feminine, this powerful, confident, authentic version of ourselves, which is what we will carry forwards into the future, which is so important. And I decided recently that these types of topics, I feel, is what I need to teach right now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more content that is focused on these divine feminine topics. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you. And as always, I will see you in the next video.